Okay, so for 15, I would say there's two ways to do it. One is literally start at 1 and go to 4, plug them in and add them all together. Okay, and that is the way you'd have to do it if the bottom number was not 1. But if the bottom number is 1, you can also split it here. Plug in starting at 1. So 6 over 1 squared, 6 over 2 squared, 6 over 3 squared, 6 over 4 squared. Remember, we're starting at the number on the bottom and we're ending at the number at the top. So this would be 6 over 1, this would be 6 over 4, this would be 6 over 9, this would be 6 over 16. And I could reduce those 6 3/2, 2/3, 3/8. And then I got to find a like denominator. So 24. So this would be times 24. 144. Times 12, 36, times 8, 16, times 3, 9. All of that would go over 24. $144, 36, 16, 9. 205 over 24. If it was sigma for j equals 1 and it said 6 plus j squared, then I would maybe say it's easy to do this because we just split it. So it would be 6 times 4 plus, and then our squared one, which is the n plus 1 to n plus 1 over 6. And then add them together at the end. In a situation where it's only 4 terms, I might just say it's easier to plug it in.
We're going to get the identities.
You'll get the same chart. Yep. But again, it only works if the bottom number is 1. So if the bottom number is not 1, if it's 0, or if it's any, like 2, whatever, you cannot use these.
Okay.
Yeah. So for example, this guy, right? This, I have multiple options. I could split it and use the yellow chart. Well, I could plug in 1 to 10 and add them together. I would not recommend that. I could split it, so it'd be from 1 to 10 to j minus from 1 to 10, 3. And then the 2 bumps to the front, so 2 from 1 to 10 j minus from 1 to 10, 3. And then I could use my little yellow chart. You could get your little yellow chart, just the single variable is the n times the n plus 1 over 2. So this is 2 times n is 10, 10 plus 1 over 2, minus the constant is just 10 times 3. So this would cancel. I'd get 10 times 11 minus 30, 110 minus 30, which is 80. Or this, and I think this is the better way to do it, this is a partial sum of an arithmetic sequence. How do you know it's arithmetic? There's no exponent on a variable, right? It's just j to the first. So I know it's arithmetic, and the formula for arithmetic is n over 2 times first plus last. So number of terms, the bottom's 1, so there are 10 terms. First one I would plug in 1, I'd get 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. Last one I'd plug in 10, I'd get 20 minus 3, which is positive 17. Why are you not writing? 17. So I'd get 5 times 16, which is 80. So if it's arithmetic, I would strongly recommend that you use the first and last. It's going to be easier, but you also could use your expansion and your summation rules. Question, if the bottom number is 1. Okay, then you got to your geometric. So now the geometric sum, remember there's 2 types here. There's the infinite and there's the finite. The finite's the 57 and 58. And the infinite is, I cut off the number there, 61, 62. Okay, I know it's geometric how? Huh? Well, how do you know that this is geometric and not arithmetic? The variables in the exponent. We're here now. The variables in the exponent, so I know it's geometric, right? So I can use my geometric. This would be finite because it's not infinite at the top. So this is a1 times 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. There's 2 ways to identify your a1. One is it's the thing that's not being raised to a power, which in this case is not, there's nothing there, which means it's 1. The second is literally taking the first number and plugging it in. So if I plug in 1, I get 2 to the 0, and that's 1. Both ways, I would get an a1 of 1. Then 1 minus my r is 2. There are 7 terms here. Would be 1 minus 2. Okay. So is this number big? Yes. On your test, this is not going to be on the calculator portion because it's a summation, but they won't be quite that big. Like it might be like a 2 to the 4th. Okay, something like that. And then came your geometric infinite, right? And the infinite, we have to test to see if it can be done. How do I know if it cannot be done? Good. If my absolute value of r is greater than or equal to 1. So this is my r, the thing that's being raised to the power that's less than 1. This is my r that's being raised to the power that's less than 1. So these can both be done. And the formula here is a1 over 1 minus r. So this would be 4 minus 1 over 1 minus 1/8. And this would be 6 over 1 minus 1/3. Again, not on the calculator part because obviously you could just do your summation. Okay, so 56 says, find the indicated term of the geometric sequence. So this is the ones where I don't have, I mean, you could do this a couple different ways, but I don't have a1. So this one I'm going from 3 to 4, so you could actually just figure out your r by dividing, but keep in mind what happens if I went from 2 to 4, and this is your big little. So I could do a4 equals a3, r would have to be raised to the first. So it'd be 1 equals 6 times r to the first, and then r is going to be 1/6. Then you want to find the 9th term. So you've got 2 options. Use a9 with a3. R would have to be raised to the 6th power. Or find a9 using a4, and r would have to be raised to the 5th power. So then it would be 1 times 1/6 to the 5th. So I told them the last one, I'll tell you guys too, like most of them don't go to a power bigger than 4, unless of course it's like a 2 maybe. Like if it was 2 to the 5th, that's not unreasonable. But if it's anything else like that, it would be like more manageable numbers. Okay, so can I do this with and without a calculator? With a calculator, that's a button, right? And it might happen because it could be a word problem that's the answer. And I just use that button on the calculator. Without the calculator, then I need to know this formula is n factorial over n minus r factorial times r factorial. So C gets the R at the end. P does not. So this would be 10 factorial over 10 minus 8 factorial times 8 factorial. So 10 factorial over 2 factorial times 8 factorial. Break that 10 down to 8. Line up your 8 factorials, and this would be 2 times 1. So these go away. And then 2 goes into 10 5 times, and this is 45. So depending on the size of those numbers, it might be, or if it's a word problem, it might be calculator based, but it also doesn't have to be. You're welcome. Okay, so this is your expansion, right? This is to the 7th power. Oh, I also said, I think on an individual term, you might get to the 7th power, but on a full expansion, I think it's either like to the 4th or to the 5th. It's not 7, right? You have to find 8 terms here. So if I do this, first of all, I would use Pascal's triangle. I got to go to where I'm starting with 7. So 10, 10, 5, 1, 1, 6. So this is the row. Those are your binomial coefficients. So it's 1, 7, 21, 35, 35, 21, 7, 1. Then I go first term from the highest exponent down to none. My first term is the 3x. So I'm doing 3x to the 7th, 3x to the 6th, 3x to the 5th, 3x to the 4th, 3x to the 3rd, 3x to the 2nd, 3x to the 1st, and 3x to the 0. Then I go the other way with the second term. My second term is positive y. So y to the 0, y to the 1st, y to the 2nd, y to the 3rd, y to the 4th, y to the 5th, y to the 6th, and y to the 7th. And then you'd literally have to multiply out each of those. So again, not as many terms, not as big numbers on your test, but obviously that process is still there.
Are you giving us the conduit?
No.
So we have to know that.
On 61, why did you minus 1 8?
All right, so a 6-sided die is rolled 6 times. What's the probability that each side appears exactly once? So I want to roll it 6 times. That's 6 different events, right? 6, 6, 6. Like there's 6 of these. So the first time, how many numbers can I get? I can get any of the 6, right? So this would be 6 over 6. Then the next time, let's say I rolled a 1. How many are left that I can get? 5. Then I rolled let's say I'll roll a 1 and a 2. Now how many are left? 4. And it's just going to keep going down until there's only one side left. And then I would just multiply those out. Obviously, I'd simplify the ones that are easy and then multiply it out. Other questions? Yeah.
Are we gonna need to know exactly how many cards are in a standard deck?
Well, it'll tell you a 52. It'll tell you 52, but you need to know what they are.
Also, one more thing. Are we gonna have a calculator for the test?
There's
For
one
part of
calculator.
it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's graphing calculator.
Yeah, you could use whatever calculator you want for that part.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. 91 says there are 12 bicyclists entering a race. In how many different orders can the 12 bicycles finish? So this is like your full set. There's only one type of full set, and that is permutation. So it's 12 factorial. If it said, let's say variations on this, if it said how many can finish first, like how many combinations or how many ways can you get first, second, third? Those are assigned roles within it, right? That's a P, 12, 3. If it just said you want to be in the top 5, now that's C, 12, 5, because within that 5, there's not assigned roles, okay? So that's like, especially because this could be your multiple choice question, and there's no partial credit there. You got to be really careful with your permutation and combination. It's partly multiple choice, yeah. So 93 says a man has 5 pairs of socks with no 2 pairs are the same color. He randomly selects 2 socks from a drawer. What's the probability that he gets a matched pair? So you've got 5 pairs, which means 10 total socks, right? 10 socks. Okay. You want the probability that they are the same color. So this and this. Let's say it's red and red. So this is multiplication. The first time you go grab a sock out of the drawer, how many options are there? 10. 10 out of 10. It doesn't matter which one you grab the first time, right? The second one, what's left? 9. No, there's only 1 in there that you want, right? Because let's say you grab the red the first time. Whatever you grab this first time, there's only 1 of those left. Does that make sense? And then because you grabbed the sock out, how many are total in there? 1 over 9. Does that make sense? So if it gave you the breakdown, there's 5 red, there's 3 blue, there's 2 orange. Now you just count them up and you figure how many are in there. But you want to get any pair that matches. So the first time it doesn't matter what color you get, but there's only 1 more of that same color, and you just took out of the 10, so there's only 9 left. Other questions? Yeah. 82. Okay, a telemarketing firm is making calls to prospective customers by randomly dialing a 7-digit number within an area code. So 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Find the number of possible calls that the telemarketer can make. Well, it didn't say anything about it within a certain area code. So we don't know that, like it doesn't say follow the rules, which would be that it can't be a 0 or 1. So technically it would be 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 the first time. But then B says the telemarketing firm is calling only within exchanges that begin with a 6 or a 7. 7 or 6. How many different calls are possible? Well, now that first spot, I only want it to be a 7 or a 6, which means it's 2 times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10. And then C says the telemarketing firm is calling only within exchanges that do not begin with a 0 or a 1. How many different calls are? So now from that 10, we've only eliminated 2, which means it's 8 times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10. So something like 83, think I could be having to do this with or without a calculator, right? There are going to be times in which you can use it to get your permutation or your combination, and then there's going to be times that you have to know how to do it without. They would be small enough numbers that they're manageable, but there's going to be, you're going to have to multiply out some stuff. There's going to be some 2 digits times some 2 digits, or 2 digits times 3 digits without the calculator. So you just got to be careful. We're good besides all that? Yeah.
For 82, you'd have to multiply the numbers.
Yeah. So like this, I mean, yes, those are big numbers, but that could be on the non-calculator because you're just multiplying, you're just counting the zeros, right? It would be 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros, so it's 2 million. They won't be like terrible numbers there. Yeah. Or it could be on the calculator part too. It doesn't, that, like it's not a scale base, it's a size of the number base, I would say, is where we split it. Yep.
The formula for combination is the one that has like the R function.
Correct, because you want it, that one is smaller. There's less combinations than there are permutations, right? So your CNR has the R on the bottom. N factorial, N minus R factorial times R factorial, because I want to divide by a bigger number. The PNR, N factorial over N minus R factorial. So there is, I published a Quizlet on there if you're like a flashcard kid that goes through all the different formulas you need to know for your sequences, your arithmetic, your geometric, and it goes through like your probability stuff too. So if you want to look at it, that would be a good use of, 5 minutes of your life today to make sure that you're good on all those formulas. All right, 79 says the slips of paper numbered 1 through 15 are placed in a hat. How many ways can 2 numbers be drawn so the sum of the numbers is 12? Assume a random selection is without replacement. So you kept it out, right? So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 are the numbers. We want a sum of 12. So 15 is too big, 14 is too big, 13 is too big, even 12 is too big because there's no 0. So I could pull 11 and then I could pull a 1. I could pull a 2 and then, a 10 and then a 2. A 9 and a 3, an 8 and a 4, a 7 and a 5. And then I cannot use a 6 and a 6 because I kept the 6 out. So I can't use that one. But a 5 and a 7, a 4 and an 8, a 3 and a 9, a 2 and a 10, and a 1 and an 11 still work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ways. If it said with replacement, meaning you put it back in, then it could have been 6 and 6.
How simple was it 6?
Because like you kept the first number out. So I pulled out the 11, what's left in there that I could match it with a 1. But I pull out a 6, there's not another 6 in there to match it with.
How come you could have done with replacement?
If it had said, so if it had said with replacement, then you pull out a 6, well, of course, then I can get a 6 again. Because you're saying you literally, like you took it out, you wrote it down, you put it back.
Oh, I see.
Now I'm picking a second number, and because I put it back, 6 would be an option.
Okay.
If I kept it, 6 is no longer an option.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So 85 is your distinguishable permutations. First thing I'm going to do is count how many letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 factorial. Then all the letters that repeat. So a C repeats twice. The A does not repeat. The L repeats twice. The U repeats. And then the S is by itself. So then it's 8 factorial. And you'll have a calculator for this question, I'm pretty sure. Be careful how you type that in. You have to group your denominator, okay? So it would be 8 factorial over 2 times 2 times 2, or 8 factorial over 8, you could rewrite it as. But you got to be careful. If you're going to type them all in factorial, I think it takes longer to type in these factorials than it would be to just do 2 times 2 times 2. But if you're going to do that, you got to make sure you're grouping it. Otherwise, it's going to take your 8 factorial, divide it by 2 factorial, and then multiply that by 2 and 2. And that's the wrong order of operations.